Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
Yo, it's your boy, the odd guy himself, Malik King Scott.
Hi, I'm Charlie Edwards.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 77 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined as always by Mr. Ayaz Sumra. Ayaz, how are you doing?
I'm good, Joey. How are you?
Very good, my friend. Very good. Now let's jump straight into part one. As we do, we're going to waste no time. We're going to get straight down to business. This one, of course, happening last Thursday. That was Thursday the 30th of March 2017, obviously. Over in the Montreal Casino in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, Jojo Dan picked up a knockout win in round 5 of his scheduled 8-round contest at 154. Super welterweight, that one. So Jojo Dan picks up his 36th career win inside 40 fights. His opponent Jesus Girola had a record of 23-10, now 23-11. He's also got 3 draws, so a decent win there for Jojo Dan. Moving over now to a card that happened over in Haiti. Wilkie Camphert, friend of the show, he moved to 23 wins. Of course, he's got the 3 losses. He picked up a unanimous decision win over 11 rounds. It's a strange way that they do their things over in Haiti. And his opponent Paul Valenzuela Jr. 20-4. He lost, so he's now 20-5. So Wilkie Camphert, I'm very, very happy for him. He's also picked up the vacant WBA Feder Latin Super welterweight title as well, so a good win there for him. Moving over now to the USA, one fight to mention over in Pennsylvania, I believe, at the Carnegie Music Hall of Homestead, if I'm not mistaken. Luis Arias, of course, he was with Mayweather Promotions at one point. Mayweather, unfairly to Luis Arias's views, dismissed him of the promotional team. He's now signed with someone else, I believe. He defended successfully his USBA middleweight title. He moves now to 17-0 with a points win over 10 rounds. Unanimous decision there. That's it for that one. Moving over now to Germany. This one was really the biggest card of last weekend. Marco Huck, 40 wins and 3 losses with 1 draw, took on Maris Bridis, 21-0. Obviously, Bridis going into this fight with the reputation of being a bit of a banger. Marco Huck going into every fight really with the reputation of being a warrior. However, he looked a little bit long in the tooth for me. He looked a little bit one-dimensional, which is the first time I think I can really say that about Marco Huck. He usually comes and gives it his all. He seemed to be very, very lackluster, to be completely honest. Maris Bridis was obviously the younger, fresher guy, and well, I don't think he's too much younger. I think they're pretty much the same age. I think there may be a year or two between them. But the fresher guy in terms of being a pro, in terms of being at that title level there. So Marco Huck did look a little bit long in the tooth, did look a little bit one-dimensional, and I think he started a little bit late, but he just didn't seem to get into it. Some people not even scoring him 1 round. Some of the people that I've read some of the reviews about that fight online. So the ultimate outcome was a unanimous decision win over 12 rounds for Maris Bridis. Of course, doing this, he picked up the vacant WBC World Cruiserweight title, which was taken away from Tony Bellew in the last few minutes of last week. And also, the IBO World Cruiserweight title was on the line. We know that the IBO is not really a proper world title. Don't say that around Chris Eubank Jr., of course, but the sanctioning fees were not paid by Bridis, so he would have become the IBO world champion by winning this fight, along with the WBC, as I just mentioned. But no, he's only the WBC champion, so he paid the fees for that, but he didn't pay the fees for the IBO. So an interesting one there. Very disrespectful, actually, Bridis doing that. That's a bit disrespectful, to be completely honest. So the IBO title now becomes vacant And I mean, it's just a vacant belt, but the IBO is getting thrown about here, there, and everywhere in recent times. Also on that undercard, Christina Hammer, the WBO and WBC World Female Middleweight Champion, she defended her belt successfully over 10 2-minute rounds against Maria Lindberg, who had a record of 15-1, now 15-2 with 2 draws. Christina Hammer still the perfect record, 21-0, a decent performance there from her. She's not really a banger, but she did some decent boxing. That's it for Germany. Moving over now to Nicaragua. One fight over here to mention. Ricardo Mayorga, former world champion. Why on earth is he still fighting? Nobody knows. Well, his opponent found out the hard way. He picked up a TKO in round 3, Mayorga, over Julio Zepeda, who had a record of 12-17 with 1 draw, now 12-18 with 1 draw. Zepeda refused to continue fighting during round 3, so it went down as a TKO there for Ricardo Mayorga. He's now 32 wins, 9 losses and 1 draw. Bizarre stuff there from the Charman Bar in Managua, Nicaragua. Brilliant stuff. Moving over now to the final bill to mention of the reviewing. There was not too much action last week. The final bill, the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas in, of course, Las Vegas, USA. Top of the bill, Antonio Orozco. He proceeded to 26-0 now. Perfect record with a TKO in round 4 over his opponent, Keandre Gibson, who was unbeaten, 16-0 going into that fight, now 16-1 with 1 draw. Gibson was down once in that round 4. And Orozco also picks up the vacant NABC Super Lightweight title. So a good win there for him. We're moving very fast through this week's show. We're trying to go through things a little bit quicker than usual. So the first thing to do, of course, and the last thing to do, I should say, before we end part 1, is to welcome guest number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the trainer of the best heavyweight talents in the world. It's Mr. Peter Fury. Peter, welcome to the show.
How you doing? You okay?
Yes, my man. Been a long time. It's been a long time. Obviously, a lot's happened since we last spoke. I want to start with this, Peter, if you don't mind. First things first. The other week, a couple weeks back now, your man Con Sheehan got a win. Obviously, he banked some valuable rounds in whilst doing so. How's he getting along, and are you happy with his recent progression?
He's steady. He's coming along steady. You know, he's got quite a bit to do. He's got to sit on his shots more. He's got to know when to step in behind the shots and get somebody out of there. You know, his performance was very one-paced. But saying that, the opponent, he was very, very negative. So when you get people like this, it's very, very difficult to get out of there. But saying that, you know, it just shows the stuff that he's got to work on. But he is improving in every fight he has. So he's slowly getting better, Conchian. So I'm happy so far so good. Yeah, good to hear. And now the big one, of course, your son, Hughie. He's taking on Joseph Parker on May the 6th. So just a month this week. For Parker's WBO heavyweight world title. The fight's set to take place in New Zealand. It's all been a little bit confusing to keep track of, but I know that you applied for a visa, then was denied access to New Zealand, then I heard you've been given access. What's actually going on, Peter? Well, you know, it's down to immigration. You know, I've had no input into it. We applied, we went through the right channels, and fortunately, you know, immigration turned it down. And this is normal, to be fair, because once immigration turns it down, you have to get a special waiver, which then goes to the ministers to decide. And they decided it was in the best interest for boxing over there. So, you know, I'm very, very extremely grateful to the New Zealand government and immigration to grant me access. So at least we're all systems go. So thankfully, I'm very, very grateful for that. I do want to ask you this. It's a bit of a pointless question, to be honest, with you being given access. But what would have happened in that scenario? Who would have gone out there with Hughie? Well, it's not a scenario we discussed. We was waiting on the visa, and then once we had the decision, then we was going to make that decision because we knew we had at least 5-6 weeks left. So we just said, look, let's not even think about that now. Let's wait and see what happens with the visa. So. Yeah. The answer is we haven't even considered it. Yeah, okay.
And I want to ask you, Peter, what do you make of Joseph Parker as a fighter? We've actually had him on the show a couple of times. You know, he seems like a nice guy outside the ring. He's a decent fighter inside the ring. What's your take on him?
I think he's a very good young fighter, and he comes across, he does everything right. He's a very polite guy. There's nothing I can say bad about him. I think he's got a lot of talent, and he's a promising young heavyweight.
And by the time the fight rolls round, Hughie would have been out the ring for about a year and a week. Obviously, in that time, Parker has fought 4 times against 4 decent opponents, to be honest. Is that a disadvantage for Hughie, Peter?
I don't see it as anything, no, because Hughie's constantly in the gym. We've been working on a lot of stuff. He's a different fighter than what he's been in the past. So we're just looking forward to getting the fight on and letting the public see exactly what he's really about and what he's like under pressure.
And as you say there, Hughie's been in the gym. He's had a bit of time out of the fight nights. I may be a little bit mistaken as well, but in that time, with Tyson not being around the gym as often as he was before, is that good for Hughie? Would he have had more of your attention in that time that he may need for the biggest fight of his life coming up?
Yes, of course it is, because it was Tyson's time, and Tyson had 100% of my concentration. Now it's Hughie's time, and he's got 100% of my concentration. So, you know, everybody's got to take their turn. So now it's Hughie's turn, and we're looking at everything, working on things, and everything's going to plan at the moment.
And speaking of the big man, how is Tyson at the moment? He looked to be in good spirits the other week. He was out in Denmark with Isaac Lowe. I know that result didn't go the way we wanted it to, but he seemed to be in good spirits. He was actually calming everybody down at one point.
Well, it was good to have him in the gym. He obviously, he's a character. It's nice to see him in the gym. He seemed to be back to his old self, and it was nice to see him. Apart from that, that's all I can tell you, really.
And I believe that there's some sort of hearing in May with Tyson to discuss what's next for him. Is that right? Have I got that right?
Yes, and that's down to the lawyers, so they're doing that. So we've got to keep pretty confidentiality on that one. So the lawyers are dealing with that. So it will go through its due process.
And finally, Peter, I wanted to get your opinion on one last fight before I let you go. I'm sure that you know which fight I'm going to be talking about later this month, Wembley Stadium, Joshua versus Klitschko. How do you see that fight unfolding?
Either Joshua's going to knock him out, or Klitschko will knock Joshua out. It's an exciting fight. I think whoever lands first, that'll be the end of it. But I think Klitschko is the better boxer. He's got a lot more experience. I think, if Klitschko is hungry and he really wants it back, then I have to edge towards Klitschko. I think Joshua is young, he's strong, and it all depends what's going to happen on the night. It's who wants it the most. So he could come out Joshua, and he could catch Klitschko early, and it could be all over. But I think if he starts going past the 4th round, I think Joshua's in deep water.
Who do you see winning that one, though, if you had to pick a fighter?
It's very difficult because it depends what type of Klitschko is going to turn up. But if it's a Klitschko of old, I'd have to pick Klitschko, to be honest.
I think
that doesn't mean to say, I don't know, he's 40, 41, he's been beat. What's that done to him? Although I don't see that being much. So, like I said, it just depends. Is this Klitschko coming for pride? Or is he coming for a payday? Yeah. That we don't know.
Yeah, it's still a very intriguing fight, of course, but it makes you laugh, some of the comments you see online, because the job that Tyson did on him, he's all of a sudden old overnight, and it's going to be a walkover job for Joshua. That's quite amusing to me when I see stuff like that online, to be honest.
Well, maybe they're right. Father Time may have caught him up, but he may just be coming for the payday. If that's the case, then we have to agree. But if he's not, Joshua's camp need to be worried. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you completely there, Peter. And just before I let you go, I thought I had a lot more questions than I actually did. We've kind of whizzed through it. I've run out of things to say. Is there anything you want to say before we let you go?
I just want to get, we just want to get rid of politics, do what we do best, the boxing, and look forward to getting back on the train and lifting these world titles. That's why we're in boxing. We ain't in boxing to win a Commonwealth belt or whatever. We're into world level boxing, so hopefully Hughie Fury can bring that strap back.
Absolutely, God willing. Okay, listen, Peter, it's always a pleasure talking with you, my friend. It's always a pleasure talking with you. Thanks for giving us a piece of your time. Send my best to Hughie, and we'll catch up soon.
I will do. I'm sorry for the delay.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, the preview part. Just before we get into the preview part, we're going to go over to Ayaz with this week's news.
Andre Ward will defend his WBA, Super, IBF and WBO against Sergey Kovalev in a rematch on June the 17th.
Yes, of course, this fight was a fight that everybody wanted to see a rematch of straight away. It didn't really look like it was going to happen. I met up with Andre Ward earlier this year in London when he came over here, and hearing him talk, it just didn't seem like he was gonna give the rematch. It seemed like he was either gonna retire or it seemed like he was gonna move on to something else, which would have been a shame. You know, he doesn't really get a lot of credit, Andre Ward, despite being such a fantastic, phenomenal talent, one of the best pound for pound, if not number one. So I'm happy that he's honoured the rematch here, and you know, it's great to see, because I, for one, actually thought that he just lost that fight. I can't remember, Ayaz, if you scored it to Ward now, but it was a very, very close fight. It divided a hell of a lot of people, and it's good to see the rematch finally going to be taking place here. So, yeah, it's great news for the whole sport of boxing, to be completely honest.
Jeff Lacey will return to the ring on March the 12th in Tampa, Florida.
Yes, Jeff Lacey, a man who, you know, he was supposed to be the next big thing at one point. Then he bumped into Joe Calzaghe, and he never quite did, or never quite fulfilled expectation after that. I'm not quite sure why he's boxing again. You know, of course, he was the IBF world champion from 2004 to 2006. Since then, he hasn't really done anything spectacular. He's also been out of the ring since January of 2015, where he got knocked out by Sullivan Barrera. So as I say, since 2006, he hasn't really had any great wins on his record, to be completely honest. He lost to Joe Calzaghe in 2006. Other two fights that I should mention, really, that he was involved in, he lost both of them. He took on Jermaine Taylor in 2008, and he took on Roy Jones Jr. in 2009, losing both of those fights, as I said. So I'm not sure what he has to offer, but you know, it's 2 years and 3 months or so later. And yeah, I don't think he's got much to offer, but again, it does make headlines because he was a good fighter quite a few years back now, to be completely honest. But yeah, that's it for my thoughts on that one, Ayaz.
The WBC have ordered a immediate rematch between super flyweight champion Rungvisai and ex-world champion Roman Gonzalez.
Yes, it's quite a challenging name there to pronounce. The champion now, the Thai national. Obviously, we see him go in there and really just keep coming forward the whole night. It was an impressive performance against Roman Gonzalez. I didn't score that one, but a lot of people divided on that. A lot of people actually going as far to say it was a bit of a robbery. I don't agree with that, but I was a little bit sad for Roman Gonzalez, the way it all ended. You know, he was obviously down early in that fight. He was cut with accidental head clashes. He showed fantastic warrior status, as you picked up on. I remember Ayaz actually the week after talking about how much of a warrior performance Roman Gonzalez put into that fight. So I'm happy that there's going to be a rematch, really, but I think the winner is going to be Roman Gonzalez. I think it's inevitable. I just don't think he had a great start to that fight, and I think it really sabotaged the rest of the fight for him. Really, I don't think he was able to claw it back as such after being trailing after just a couple of rounds. He had quite a hill to climb after that. That's it for my thoughts on that one, Ayaz. Is there any more news for us?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you so much, Ayaz. Moving over now to the preview part. So there's a few places to visit on the preview part this week, starting with a card happening over in Sao Paulo in Brazil. To be honest, he's got a bit of a reputation as a journeyman, despite having 39 wins and just 14 losses on his record. Whenever he steps up in competition, he seems to lose. But we're going to give him a mention anyway, an honourable mention to Rafael Zambrano Love. Obviously, we see him get stopped by Anthony Joshua quite a while back now. He's in his 55th professional fight, and he's also fighting for the Brazilian heavyweight title against a man out there with a record of 5-0 by the name of Leandro Rufino. That's a 10-rounder at heavyweight there, so all the best to Mr. Love. That's it for Brazil. Going over now to a fight happening in Puerto Rico at the Coliseo Antonio R. Barcelo in Toa Baja. Hopefully I've got that right. It's a man that we had on the show a couple of weeks back, DeMarcus Corley, former world champion. His record, 48 wins, 27 losses and 1 draw. He's taking on Giovanni Santiago, who has a record of 9-0 with 1 draw. It's for the vacant UBF International Super Lightweight title. It's a 10-rounder at 140 as well. We wish DeMarcus Corley all the very best in that fight. It was great to have him on the show. And as I say, I really hope he gets the W on the weekend. Moving over now to Las Vegas, Nevada, USA. One fight to mention over there. Carlos Zambrano, 26-0. He's fighting for the vacant IBO World Featherweight title and also defending his interim WBA World Featherweight title. He's been out of the ring for quite a while, Carlos Zambrano. He's taking on Claudio Marrero, who has a record of 21-1. So it should be a decent little fight there. But Zambrano's a guy that I really want to see moved on a little bit quicker, to be completely honest. That's it for Las Vegas. Moving over now to the UK. Manchester Arena, formerly the MEN. Formerly a bunch of other names, to be completely honest. We're going to start with the undercard. Nicola Adams making her debut on this show. Obviously, she's a double Olympic gold medalist. She's a real credit to women's boxing. It's her debut here against Virginia Naomi Carcamo, who has a record of 4-2 with 1 draw. It's a 4-rounder at flyweight. That's 4 2-minute rounds, of course. Also on that bill, Daniel Dubois making his heavyweight debut. 4 rounds this one scheduled for. He takes on Marcus Kelly, who has a record of 1-0. Former world champion Paul Butler's on the bill. His record 23-1. His opponent yet to be announced. It's a 6-rounder at bantamweight, that one. Zelfa Flash Barrett's on the bill as well. He's in a 6-rounder at super featherweight. His record at the moment 15-0. He takes on Norbert Kaluxa, who has a record of 14-9. Also on the bill, Jimmy Kelly, 20-1. He's taken on Rick Godin, 23-1 with 1 draw. That's a 10-rounder at super welterweight. Jack Catterall puts his WBO Intercontinental Super Lightweight title on the line against Martin Geffen. Geffen with the record of 28-8 with 1 draw. Jack Catterall a perfect 17-0. Former world champion Zolani Tete. He's been completely gone. He's been a ghost for a little while. He's back here in a 12-rounder at bantamweight against Arthur Villanueva, who has an impressive record of 30-1. Zolani Tete 24-3. A real talent in the bantamweight division. Also on the bill, Terry Flanagan defending his WBO World Lightweight title. He actually has the longest winning streak of any British boxer right now. 32-0, putting his belt and his record on the line against Peter Petrov, who has a record of 38-4 with 2 draws. An interesting fight that, though. I believe that Terry Flanagan, he's impressive, you know. When he shows up, he fights impressive. A couple of his defences, they've been a little bit under par. When he won the world title, it was a little bit questionable. And I remember when he took on Magdaleno, he absolutely blew him out. It was really, really impressive. And now he's in there against Petrov. I hope we see a good Terry Flanagan, because a good Terry Flanagan's, you know, he's easy to watch. He's fan-friendly. But some of his defences, he hasn't really looked 100%. I'm not quite sure why. But so I really hope he's getting up for this fight. I truly do. And the main event, I believe, is going to be the Battle of the Liams. We had one of them on last week's show. Liam Williams, 16-0 with 1 draw, taking on former WBO light middleweight world champion Liam Smith, 24-1 with 1 draw. This one's for the interim WBO World Super Welterweight title. I've actually noticed that the interim WBO world titles just come out of nowhere. So I'm interested in that, really. I don't really like the fact that there's all these, world title belts, interim, super, regular. It does get very confusing. So I don't think that the interim WBO is a title that's going to do any justice to the confusing situation that we already have. But I think that's a great fight, Liam Williams against Liam Smith. I want to go over to you, Ayaz, on this fight, to be honest. It's very, very interesting. Liam Smith obviously mixed it at the higher level. But when we talk about the higher level that he mixed it in, it was really that one fight against Canelo. He hasn't really fought any world beaters. Neither has Liam Williams, of course. We all know that. He's very, very humble. And he respects Liam Smith as well. So it's definitely going to be a really, really good fight. And I'm looking forward to it. How do you see it unfolding?
This is going to be a really good fight, the Battle of the Liams. But if I'm going to choose with the winner, I'm going to go with Liam Smith. So I think Liam Smith is a very talented fighter. All I can say is that when he fought Canelo, he did very good against Canelo as well. So when he's fought one of the best pound-for-pound fighters, which is Canelo, and he's going to bring that experience to this fight.
Yeah, I think some people forget how well he did against Canelo. Despite losing how he did, he showed some great class during that fight, and people like to forget that, I think. He's definitely got the more classier punch output, the more classier... the way he goes about business is a little bit more classier, a little bit more precise than Liam Williams does. But Liam Williams can have a fight as well. And I think Liam Williams can have a fight a lot better than Liam Smith can. Liam Smith hasn't really been put in that position. But I think Liam Smith, he's brilliant... asset of body punching, which all the Smith brothers, to be honest, have got that little asset tucked in their arsenal. I think that could potentially play a part here. I hope I'm wrong, but we will see, and may the best man win. It's a great fight. We love fights like this to be made in Britain, of course. Moving over now to a card happening in York Hall. Ben Jones, former European champion, 22-5, friend of the show. He takes on Jason Cunningham. Jason Cunningham, 21-3. I'm not sure how many rounds it's scheduled for, but it's a featherweight, this one. Jason Cunningham, he's actually an underrated fighter. This is a really, really good fight. I think it's even probably a 50-50, if I had to say so. Jason Cunningham, he's got the 3 losses on his record. 2 of them have been super close, and the other one, which wasn't close, was against Cal Yafai, and there's no shame in that. Look where he is now. So I think Ben Jones is in a real fight here, and it's overdue, because he likes to test himself. He likes to be in those fights where he's perhaps an underdog, or where he's got to really think about it, and I'm happy that he's got this opportunity. It's at the home of British boxing, York Hall, so all the best to Ben Jones in that one. Moving over now to a card happening in the Oasis Leisure Centre in Swindon, Wiltshire, United Kingdom. Couple fights to mention on this bill. Sam Smith, 3-0, his opponent yet to be announced. It's an 8-rounder at light heavyweight there. I was shocked that Sam Smith, the sniper, has been moved pretty slowly. He's been a pro now for quite a while. He's only had 3 fights in that time. I know that he's being looked after by Paddy Fitzpatrick. I remember having Paddy on the show so long ago. It feels like ages ago we had him on the show, and he was talking about Sam Smith, and I think it was after Sam's first or second fight. So to think he's only had 1 or 2 fights since then is quite staggering. Also on that bill, Luke the Duke Watkins, 9-0. He looks to move to double-figure wins. His opponent to be announced as well. That's a 10-rounder at Cruiserweight. So all the best to both men there, both being looked after by Paddy Fitzpatrick, who's a guy who, to be honest, out of all the boxing trainers and all the boxing voices, I do like to listen to Paddy Fitzpatrick. He's got that kind of voice you just keep listening to. I really do have a lot of love for Paddy Fitzpatrick. Moving over now to a fight happening in West Midlands at the Venue in Dudley, United Kingdom. One fight to mention on here that has got a potential to be a bit of a war. Andrew Robinson, 18-3, former opponent of Lee Markham, which was a great fight, former opponent of Frank Buglioni, which was a great fight. He is a bit of a warrior. He's taking on super durable journeyman Adam Jones. 6 wins, 20 losses and 4 draws. The reason why I bring this fight up is because Adam Jones is a journeyman that I've been looking at quite a lot recently. He's been in back-to-back fights. He is as tough as they come. I don't even think he's been stopped yet. he's been in there with some good fighters as well, and he keeps coming forward. He's horrible to fight, actually. He's I wouldn't advise putting any kind of prospect in with him, because he's really got that potential to upset you, because he just keeps coming forward all the time. He does not take a step back. He's as tough as they come. Also on that bill, William Warburton. He's a super journeyman again who's capable of upsetting people. So he's in a fight as well against Tyler Denny, who has a record of 4-0 with 2 draws. That again is not going to be a walkover. Both those fights mentioned there are both 6-rounders, and they're both at middleweight. Moving over now to the big one again. There's another big fight happening this weekend at the MGM National Harbour in Oxon Hill, Maryland, USA. This is a fantastic card. We're going to be speaking to one of the men on this bill very, very shortly. We're going to start with the fight at the bottom of the card. Patrick Harris, 10-0. He's in an 8-rounder at super lightweight against Omar Garcia, 6-6. His record. Also on the bill, Jesse Hart, 21-0. He takes on Alan Camper, 16-2. That's a 10-rounder at super middleweight. Jesse Hart, a man that we should be speaking to on this show at some point. I have reached out to him. I think we will be speaking to him in the coming weeks at some point, hopefully. And also a man that's been on the show before, Mike Yes Indeed Reed. He's 21-0 as well. He's in a 10-rounder at super lightweight, 140, against Reyes Sanchez, who has a record of 26-9 with 2 draws. That should be a good fight. Again, Mike Reed's a guy that likes to test himself as well, so I'm happy for him to be on a platform like this. It's a great bill. Also on the bill, Alexander Gvozdyk, 12-0. He's in a 10-rounder at light heavyweight against Yunieski Gonzalez, who has a record of 18-2. That should be a good fight. Gvozdyk, of course, being the Olympian, he's got that amateur background. It's going to be a good fight. He's a promising fighter. Oleksandr Usyk's on the bill, defending his WBO World Cruiserweight title. He's got a record of 11-0. He takes on the man we're going to be speaking to very shortly, Michael Hunter, 12-0. Both men undefeated. Somebody's O has got to go. It's a 12-rounder at Cruiserweight. It's a great fight, this. 2 guys that, again, have got that background in the amateurs. Both guys... I think Michael Hunter just fell short of the 2008 Olympics. He was in the 2012 Olympics. Alexander Usyk was in both of them. He won a gold medal in 2012. They've both been targeting the Olympics. They've both just narrowly... They could have ended up fighting each other. It didn't happen in the amateurs. It's now happening in the pros. And rarely do we see a fight like this with 2 guys who've got the Olympic background. They're both undefeated, and they're both still... I'd say prospects. I know that Usyk's already a world champion, but he's maybe just elevated above the prospect status. They're very fresh in their pro careers, is what I'm trying to say. And it's rare that we see a fight where both guys have got a promising future and they meet for a world title this early. So I'm very happy about this fight. Alexander Usyk being the crafty man, he's very, very good on his feet. Obviously, he's a southpaw. Michael Hunter's past 2 opponents have been southpaws as well. So that's a good stat there to bear in mind. We wish Michael Hunter all the very best in this fight, of course, and we will be speaking to him very, very soon. He's got an interesting story. And top of the bill, Vasyl Lomachenko, 7-1, putting his WBO World Super Featherweight title on the line against Jason Sosa, 20-1 with 4 draws. Jason Sosa, he's got a little bit of a warrior reputation as well. Of course, he's mixed it with some good fighters. He's mixed it with our very own Stephen Smith, a fight that was a little bit frustrating to watch when he went over there in Monaco and did a job on him. Obviously, he's been in there against Nicholas Walters and a few other guys. Jason Sosa is one of my favourite fighters to watch. I really am a big fan. But Lomachenko, we know he is absolute class. Ayaz, firstly, I know that this fight is one that me and you and many other guys are very much looking forward to. Vasyl Lomachenko being outrageously good. He's almost too good. And how do you see this fight unfolding? I know that we both are big fans of Jason Sosa as well, a good fighter.
Yeah, Jason Sosa is a good fighter. But I like Lomachenko, but to be honest, I reckon he'd do very good. But Lomachenko, he's a very good fighter with a huge experience. But in my opinion, I'm going to go for Lomachenko stoppage.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we see Lomachenko in that fight against Orlando Salido. He was on the receiving end of some roughhouse tactics. He was in there to rough it up. I think Jason Sosa could potentially make it a little bit rough. We do know that he likes to be a little bit rough. He can fight as well as box. So I think that's something to bear in mind. Surprisingly, the size is with Lomachenko in this one. He is the taller guy. Jason Sosa, it was quite striking how short he is. He's only 5'5". He fights pretty stand-up. He does like to stand up. He fights pretty tall. But we know that Lomachenko is hard to pick against. You know, he really is. He's a technical genius. And he's one of the best amateurs of all time, if not the best of all time. So... definitely an intriguing fight though, but I really hope that it's good for a few rounds. I hope it's not one-sided. I think it won't be one-sided. I think Jason Sosa's very, very clever and crafty, so I think he could make it pretty interesting during spells of that fight. I'd like to see him pull off the upset, but to be honest, I have to side with you, Ayaz. I can't really see it. I think Lomachenko. I'm gonna go. You've gone with a stoppage for Lomachenko. I'm gonna go with Lomachenko on points, Ayaz, on this one. I'm gonna go with Lomachenko on points. I can't remember what we are on the prediction league. Have you got any idea what it was? I think, was it 4-2 to me last time? We really need to keep check of this.
Yes, it was.
Okay. So yeah, it's 4-2 to me. So we'll look out for that, and hopefully we will remember the scores for next week. That's it for the MGM National Harbour. Moving over now to the final bill to mention. This one happening this Sunday, the 9th of April 2017, which I will add is the 1-year anniversary of Anthony Joshua picking up the IBF heavyweight title. One fight to mention. The Novo at LA Live, which is the name of the venue in Los Angeles, California, USA. 2 fights to mention on this bill. Alejandro Luna, 21-0, decent fighter, prospect. He takes on Andriy Klimov, who has a record of 19-3. Obviously, we know Klimov's mixed it at a decent level. That could be a good fight there. That's just one for the, that's one that's gone under the radar. That's one that's not world level. It's pretty much European-ish level, thereabouts. But that could be a really, really good fight. That's a 10-rounder there at lightweight. And finally, the final fight to mention, Josecito Lopez, 34-7. He takes on Saul Corral, who has a record of 23-8. That's a 10-rounder at welterweight. And that wraps up the talking. We've done the review part, we've done the preview part, we did the news at the start of part 2, we spoke to Peter Fury. It's now time to welcome our second and final guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former London 2012 Olympian, and as a pro he has beaten all 12 of his opponents thus far. It's of course Mr. Michael Hunter. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey, we're very good over here, my friend. We're very good, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm good. By the way, I loved London over there. That was a beautiful place. The people were so beautiful, and the hospitality was excellent over there.
Hey, on behalf of all the fellow Londoners, I want to thank you for that. Now, Michael, just before we get into the big fight this weekend, of course, I wanted to touch on a couple of other subjects, just to let the British boxing fans know a little bit of a backstory about yourself, if you don't mind. Obviously, we know that you're the son of Michael Hunter Sr. Your father was a good boxer as well. He was part of a very exciting era in the heavyweight division through the late 80s and early 90s. Obviously, he fought a whole bunch of brilliant guys. I wanted to ask you, Michael, was it your father that started you off in boxing?
It runs in my family. My grandpa, on my mom's side, did a lot of advising for fighters, worked with a lot of different fighters, Joe Frazier, Joe Louis, and all sorts of other people. So we actually owned a boxing gym in Santa Monica, Muhammad Ali's boxing gym in Santa Monica, way back in the day before I was around. So it's on both sides of my family. So, but yeah, I would have to say I was definitely biggest inspiration was my father to start me off. I wanted to be just like him, so there was no room for any other sport, pretty much. I mean, I played other sports, but boxing was something very passionate that my family was about. So we always watched all the fights in the 90s and early 90s and stuff. So it was just inevitable for me. And my little brother's a fighter, so it's a background, a lineage type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, how could you do any other sport after just hearing that there? Speaking of your father, Michael, obviously, He's sadly no longer with us. Like many other retired boxers, there's always some kind of bizarre event that took place around their demise. I've read little bits online about what happened. I know it must be a bit of a touchy subject. Do you mind talking about what actually went down?
Actually, I don't really know too much. I know that he was killed by 2 undercover cops. Supposedly he was doing something, or they were doing something that he was doing something that he was not supposed to be, obviously. And I guess the cops didn't reveal that they were undercover, and then they shot him. So that's all I really know. I didn't really get too far and deep into the story. I just knew that he had passed, and I had a mission to take on. So I basically just left it there from there.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's just just a bizarre thing. I thought we should let the British public know about. Every good boxer has always got some kind of bizarre history. So that's a bit of bizarre history there. Another interesting fact about yourself is that you helped Vladimir Klitschko prepare for his David Haye fight back in 2011. What did you make of that experience? You was only an amateur at the time, of course.
Yeah. That was a great experience. I actually helped him with a few other ones too. My first one was Eddie Chambers. I went for Eddie Chambers, and they enjoyed my work and my work ethic, and so they brought me back for the David Haye. That was beautiful. I got to see how the European fans acted, and David Haye is definitely a different character, so I got to see his tactics, and I learned a lot from just being around those guys, from being around camp. And they're at the best and top of their sport, and top of their game. So it was more just even about not just about the fight, but more about training. And like I said, the way David Haye, the tactics that he used, and and the way that they try to intimidate one another, I thought was a brilliant thing for me to watch, and definitely a good experience for me.
It's funny that you should mention Eddie Chambers there. I was just talking to him about 5 minutes ago, just before we started the show.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. I actually just asked him about your fight, by the way, because he's looking at getting into the cruiserweight division. I think he's on he's on some kind of diet to lose a bit of weight and go down to cruiserweight now. So I asked him about that fight, and he did just say to me a minute ago that it's an interesting one. So, it's funny that you should say that. I know that in the 2012 Olympics in London, obviously it didn't go to plan for you. You lost a very close fight to Artur Beterbiev, who's gone on to be a promising pro. I know that you left London a little disappointed. Was there a while after that where you considered staying amateur, or did you feel like it was the only thing left to do was to turn pro at that point?
Yeah, I felt like that was the only thing left for me. That was my second go around as far as the Olympic circuit. So I felt very mature. I mean, even the first time I kind of felt like I was kind of ready for the pros, but definitely I had matured to a certain point and experience in my career as far as being an amateur that I was definitely ready for the pros. Yeah, and I owe Arthur one. He got me on a double tiebreaker, but so hopefully maybe I could settle that too.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Now, obviously, you finished your amateur career as a heavyweight. You started off as a heavyweight in the pro ranks. It surprised me a little bit, actually, when you decided to come down in weight to cruiserweight. What was the reason behind that, Michael?
Well, when I first got into the Olympic trials and stuff starts, like a year and a half before the Olympics actually comes on. Before you actually go to the Olympics. So when I qualified, I was the first person to qualify at that weight class, at heavyweight, when I was the amateur. And I was very inexperienced. I only had like maybe 19 fights or something like that. So I had, I was basically doing very well for myself. And I had qualified very early that year, the year of the Olympic trials and stuff. So I was kind of stuck in heavyweight as a kid, and as I was training and getting in better shape, I was actually losing weight, but I just decided to stay, around 210 around, right above regular heavyweight or cruiserweight. And I was kind of locked in for the Olympic trials. I already had basically an Olympic trial spot. So that was why I stayed heavyweight. And then after the next go-around, it was definitely no decision for me to just go to cruiserweight because I was only 5-6 pounds above cruiserweight anyway. So it was definitely, I was always fighting bigger guys. Like I fought Roberto Camarelli and a guy from Russia. I always fought a lot of bigger guys than me. So, and I was also young. I was 19, 18 years old. So that was the whole reason why I was kind of locked in that heavyweight position as a kid.
Okay, so obviously, we just said you turned pro as a heavyweight. You made your debut in March 2013. Fast forward now, we're in April 2017. You're 12-0 at this point. This Saturday, you're taking on the WBO Cruiserweight World Champion, Oleksandr Usyk. Usyk is 11-0 with 10 knockouts. He's looking really good at the moment, I must admit. What are your thoughts on him, Michael?
Oh man, obviously he's a great fighter. He's good on his feet. He's a gold medalist, so he has tons of experience, ups and downs, all in his career. And that Ukraine, even from that Ukraine school of teaching and learning, they come from a good background. So I take nothing from the guy. It's just my time, and I'm ready to, challenge myself. We really have no opponent. The opponent is all in front of me. It's all me. I'm my biggest opponent. So. I'll be testing myself April 8th.
And I want to ask you this. I noticed that your last two opponents, like Usyk, have both been southpaws. Is that just a coincidence, or did you believe that this fight was going to be happening sometime in the pipeline?
No, just a coinky-dink. I just really, the cruiserweights have tons of, everybody's turning southpaw, and cruiserweights are more of a, for overseas, the Europeans and, really run that weight class over there. So, and everybody's like basically southpaw. So I just think it was just a random thing. I wasn't really totally expecting for this, but when they gave me the opportunity, I definitely jumped on it. I did not hesitate, not one bit. So.
And I want to ask you this: how has training camp been?
Oh man, wonderful! I've been sparring. I've been getting a great sparring. I sparred southpaw Luis Ortiz, who's current heavyweight champion. Before that I sparred the former champion. What's his name? Hold on.
I can help you if you tell me which weight class. Cruiserweight, was it?
Anthony Joshua just beat him.
Anthony Joshua just beat him. He's not
for the title.
Not Charles Martin.
Yeah, Charles Martin. I was
wow.
sparring in Vegas. Yeah, because he's in Vegas. That's where I'm originally from. So I was sparring out there with him for a few times, and then I came out to Florida and I got some work with Luis Ortiz, who's also southpaw. And then for speed, I've been sparring with Andre Durrell and a couple other guys. So I've been getting a lot of work and a lot of different looks. And camp I can't complain. Camp is wonderful.
Yeah, it sounds very good. There's a lot of names there I wasn't expecting, to be honest. A crazy bunch of names, to be honest. How did it go with Luis Ortiz? That's, obviously he's a southpaw, but I wouldn't say he's much like Usyk, to be honest. He's a big guy, Luis Ortiz. So how did that go?
Yeah, he is. He's and you know what's crazy is he's super crafty, so that's what we liked him for. We liked him for his craft, and he's not a slow guy. He has big power. We know that he doesn't, Usyk doesn't hit hard as him. So, but it's just different looks and different southpaw looks, and see how the southpaw actually would go about, competing with somebody like me. So it was great. It was good work for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy to hear you say that. Obviously, as I say, you went from heavyweight to cruiserweight. Over here in Britain, a cruiserweight champion just moved up to heavyweight. I don't know if you really paid too much attention to it, but did you manage to see Tony Bellew's fight with David Haye at all?
Yes, I did. I heard he was moving up too. Hopefully, I can get that WBC belt.
Yeah, well, I think just last weekend the WBC stripped Bellew and put it on the line for Marco Huck against the other guy, Breedis. So
I didn't know that.
For that, yeah.
Oh, but no, the fight was. I was not expecting the fight to turn out how it turned out. I was kind of expecting David Haye to do a lot better. I thought he was going to I thought he was going to win the fight just from experience and skill. But that's why they fight, because you never really know what's going to happen. And Tony showed a lot of heart out there, and a lot of respect. He was. You could tell he was very classy after the fight, and I thought it was a beautiful fight. I mean, I heard they might be fighting again. Is that true?
Well, we're hoping so. I mean, obviously it wasn't a 100% David Haye. He was injured in the middle of that fight, and I think he's going to be out till about November. So, if Bellew has a fight in the meantime and then gets beaten, because really he's not a heavyweight, if he gets found out, then that fight obviously loses its value. So it's a bit of a tricky situation. But, we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But, no, it definitely shocked everybody, that outcome. Another big fight that's happening over here, obviously. I know that it's probably not as big over in the US as it is here, but I know that you must have heard about it. Joshua against Klitschko. It's going to be a massive event. How do you see that one unfolding? Obviously, you've been in camp with Klitschko. It's a brilliant fight.
Yeah, I really... you know what? I think this is a good fight for Klitschko. I know his age is... He's getting, to that age, and he kind of got exposed a little bit by Tyson Fury. But I think this is a real good fight for him. I don't know. I can't pick a winner, but I really think that Klitschko's going to do very well, especially because it seemed like he picked Anthony kind of personally. I feel like he sees something in Anthony, and they went to camp before. They've been in camp. I kind of think it's maybe a confidence thing. Maybe he got the best of him. You never really know when it comes to stuff like that. And I know Klitschko doesn't really like movers. He doesn't like people that move a lot, and he likes people to fight his size. He likes people about his size. So, he's not Anthony Joshua's not really a mover on his feet, but he's a big puncher and a big guy. So I really think that Klitschko is going to do very well in this fight.
Yeah, no, I like some of the points you've made there. It's true what you're saying. It's definitely an intriguing fight, though, for sure. And, Michael, coming down to the last couple of questions I've got for you now. This is a question that I must ask everybody that we speak to from overseas. I love asking fighters from all around the world this question, to be honest. Who is your favourite fighter from the UK of any era? It can be still boxing, it can be way retired, any era. Favourite UK fighter, if you've got one for us.
Favourite UK? I would have to say Prince Nassim Hamed. He's from UK, right? Yeah,
that's right. Everybody says him, to be honest. I might just stop asking this question. Everybody says the same thing now.
I mean, he was electrifying, man. He was, he was short-lived, but the time that he was there, he was just so exciting. He was showman, and he did his thing in there. I like Lennox Lewis as well. I can't say it. I mean, that's another one who's basically a legend. So if I had to say anything behind that, it would have to say him as far as boxing skill and the way I love the way he left the game. He left it on top and very respectful, and he left a winner. So that was and that's how you always want to leave. So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Two of our best fighters. I think I'd probably have to agree if I was being asked that question, to be honest. And finally, Michael, my final question for you now. You don't have to give it to us if you don't want to, but if you do have one, please let us know your prediction for your outcome of the fight on Saturday. How do you see that fight ending in your heart of hearts?
I feel like I'm going to win. I don't know how I'm going to win. What will be the total decision, but I feel like I'll win unanimous for sure. The least I'll do is win unanimous. I can't see it going any other split. I couldn't see any other that. I really feel like the least amount, if I don't stop him, then it's going to be a unanimous decision.
Hey, absolutely. Hopefully, like I say, God willing, you get a win. It's going to be a brilliant fight. I'm definitely going to be tuning in, and it's one that has really whet my appetite, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm glad that, it came up and, I was able to, get the fight. I'm very excited for it. I was hoping to fight him in the Olympics, and, it came up a little short, but, we're here now, and I can't wait either.
Absolutely. Okay, listen, Michael, it's been a pleasure having you on the BoxHard Podcast. Thank you so much for coming on. Best of luck for Saturday night, and God willing, next time we're talking, I'll be talking to the new WBO Cruiserweight champion of the world.
That's right. God bless you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Okay, and that wraps up what's been another episode of the BoxHard Podcast. This was episode number 77. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Ayaz Sumra has been Ayaz Sumra. A big thank you to our two guests on this week's show, heavyweight trainer Peter Fury and the undefeated cruiserweight contender Michael Hunter. I really hope you've enjoyed listening to this week's show. We've just recently, by the way, made an Instagram page where each week we post all of our latest shows. So if you're on Instagram, please give us a follow at BoxHard Podcast. We do follow back. Once again, if you'd like to get in touch with us for a shout out or to voice your predictions, anything on any upcoming fights, we can be contacted via Twitter at BoxHard Podcast once again. We'll be back next week with another big show as per usual. Until next time, take care.